Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Your friendly neighborhood Coach Pruitt here with you once again with our daily YouTube video. Today's video is going to be over class for Tuesday and Wednesday. That is the 16th and the 17th of March 2021. As you guys can see on the screen, we have your daily information here. All the things that you need to know for class today, including your essential question, a basic schedule for the day, a couple of announcements, and some links or video clips that you might want to look at during class. So, last week we began unit number 6. We took our test over unit number 5. Wednesday, Thursday of last week, we introduced the new standards. We talked about what things we were going to discuss in this unit, a basic overview, and also looked at the task work activities in brief. We then took Wednesday and Monday to begin talking about content, and we started looking at America expanding its empire. We talked about how the U.S. began to become imperial, how it was going into places like Cuba and the Philippines. It fought a war against Spain and the Philippines. We talked about those pro and anti-expansionism or imperial arguments, and we looked at its involvement in Latin and South America with things like the Roosevelt Corollary and the Panama Canal. So what we are going to do today, it shouldn't be too stressful of a day. It's a task work assignment that we're going to do. It is going to be its own independent grade. We are going to complete the task work activity over yellow journalism. So what we'll do first is we'll discuss what yellow journalism is or was. We'll talk about the activity itself. I'll show you some examples. And then you'll have pretty much the entire class period to work on it. Just a couple of reminders briefly. Remember that the 26th, that is the Friday after next, is a half day for students. It is an even Friday. I would assume that we would be on the same schedule we were last time we had a half day because it was also even. But we'll obviously get you guys a copy of the schedule as soon as we get it. It'll be closer to the day. But if you want to just jot that on your calendar in case you want to make plans for that afternoon, it is spring now, a little bit longer daylight hours, hopefully a little bit better weather, Also remember that spring break is the first full week of April. That is the 5th through the 9th, so we're getting ever closer to that week off, which I know everyone is looking forward to. Guys, please remember, now, but especially spring break, still wear your mask. Please socially distance, still wash your hands, all the things. Like, I know that we're all tired of the pandemic and of quarantining and not being able to do whatever we want whenever we want, but we can't just stop now. Like, we have to keep being safe and doing things appropriately. So let's get into what we're actually going to do today. And to do that, we need to go to our Canvas page. So this is a task work activity, like I said, so we need to scroll down to the second section, the U.S. History Module section, and we click on the Unit Number 6 button. Clicking there will, of course, take us into the Unit Number 6 module, and once we get into that module, we will scroll all the way to the bottom, and the very last activity in the Unit 6 module is the yellow journalism article. If you click here, it's going to take you into the actual assignment itself. Now, before we get there, you can see that we have a couple of different things. We have the yellow journalism assignment. This is the instructions. We'll look at those in just a minute. We have a template that you can use for how to set up your yellow journalism article. I'll show you that in just a moment as well. And we have the yellow journalism activity or a preview. So if we click on that, which is what we're going to look at in just a second, we'll talk basically about what yellow journalism is. You can also see that there are some examples that I have given you of previous assignments. And there are a couple of videos that you might want to watch on our YouTube channel. Actually, let me pull that up because I forgot to do that. Those are in the Unit Number 6 playlist. So if we go to the Unit Number 6 playlist, remember guys that you have a link in the Tools and Resources button to the Unit 6 playlist. You can also get to it by clicking the YouTube button on our Canvas page and then choosing the Unit 6 playlist. But you can see that there are 4 videos. I need to move this one actually, sorry. 4 videos about yellow journalism. They are all very short. Okay? There's a couple of videos that basically describe what yellow journalism is, how it got started, how social media is changing journalism, so look at a contemporary source or form of it, and how does clickbait work, because basically yellow journalism is like clickbait. If you guys have ever seen a massive headline that sparked your interest and then you click on it and it takes you to a page or a video or whatever the case may be, and it is nowhere near as exciting or doesn't even really cover the same topic as the title suggested, That's what yellow journalism did in the early 1900s. So really quickly, just looking at what it was. All right, so yellow journalism was a form of journalism that emerged in the early 20th century, so late early 1900s. It's very common practice in American press at this time in American history, and ultimately the goal is to get people to buy the magazine, to get people to buy your the magazine, the articles, however you're selling this literature. It became a battle between these two guys, William Randolph Hearst and Joseph Pulitzer, like the Pulitzer Prize. They were both leading writers at the time and newspaper publishers. So here's what they figured out. If they could make the stories more exciting, people would buy their newspapers, right? Remember, guys, this is at a time before cell phones. Telephones are still not that big of a deal. There's certainly no internet, right? So getting news, people had to either hear it from someone or read it. And so these two men realized that if they were to play up the details, if they were to maybe add a little bit of colorful drama to a story, if they were to maybe tweak the ending a little bit, whatever the case may be, more people would buy their stories, right? We like stories that are good, that are entertaining. Sometimes it's really boring to watch documentaries because it's just straightforward facts. But you take a historical documentary that has some truth to it, add some exciting stuff, some battle scenes, some romance scenes, whatever the case, and now all of a sudden you have an Academy Award-winning movie. The same was true for yellow journalism, right? Good old investigative journalism, like what the Muckrakers had been doing, was great, but not overly exciting. But if we add some details to it, if we spice it up a little bit, maybe if we even change some of the facts a bit, it's still rooted in fact, but it's more exciting. So those are the key things that I want you guys to remember and think about. Yellow journalism is based in truth. It's based on a fact or an actual event. The details have just been slightly altered. Think about a little kid telling you a story, right? If you have a younger sibling, younger cousins, or you might remember yourself from when you were smaller, a lot of times little kids like to add details or use their imagination a little bit when telling a story. Most of it's based in fact, right? But all of the details that come with it might be exaggerated, made up, or just, completely off base. So this is going to become a big deal after the sinking of the USS Maine, which is something that we talked about with the Spanish-American War. It was a cause of the war. It is most likely that the Maine exploded because of an internal issue, right? There was an issue with the engine, something went wrong, and it exploded. But at the time, these yellow journalism papers ran with the story and said, well, the Maine exploded. What's a more entertaining thing than there was an accident on board? The Spanish did it, right? So was it true? Was it not? Hard to tell, but it is based in fact, and it sold a lot of newspapers. Yellow journalism, okay? Now, what we need you guys to do is create your own yellow journalism article. So let's look at the actual assignment itself. So what you guys are going to do is use this template. Now, you can download this template straight to your computer. You can copy and paste this into your own document, or you can just set your piece of paper up or your Google Doc to look like this. Now, let me show you guys just really quickly. I need to pull up a new document here. Okay, so the way that you would enter all that stuff, the first thing that I'm going to do is just make sure that I change my spacing to single and don't add a space between, so it doesn't give you that weird, like every time you hit enter it drops a line. I also want to change my layout and change the margin so I have the widest bit of my paper to work with. And then I want to go insert. Now this is a little different on Google Docs, and if you are going to work on a Google Doc, please tell me and I will show you how to do this during class, or I can show you specifically. But we want to go insert, and then we want to go over here where it says text box. And I always just choose the simple box. It's the easiest, and then you can type whatever you need to type. You can stretch it, and of course you can change the font and all of that. So now I have, if I can't download the version like I just made, right? I can't download this version for whatever reason. I can now just create my own. And so now, as you can see, this one is newspaper or journal name, so you can create your own or make up a real source. So maybe on mine, I'm going to make this like the G2 times G1. I always forget we're not in G2. G1 times, because that's the name of our classroom. Change the font size, change it all, make it look nice, blah, blah, blah. You guys get the idea. I would do the same thing, continue. So your assignment is to use this template to set up your article, to set up your Yellow Journalism article. So you can see that we have the title of the journal that we're writing for. We have the article title, and then we have places for our story. We also have a second place where either we have a picture in a story or a picture in a story. So guys, you need at least 2 spaces of writing. You have to write, you need to fill up this side of the page with your article and then at least one of these other boxes. We also want you to have an image. If you are a person who is working by hand and writing on regular paper, you can either print an image and put it in, or you can draw your own image. I have a couple of examples that I'm going to show you. So you take some event that is based in fact, and then you manipulate the details to make it a more exciting story. So here are some examples. For instance, in one of my old classes, we wanted to have a Halloween party, but you're not allowed to have parties at school, so we called it a gathering. So one of the people wrote their story about the gathering in room D2. Now, he did take actual pictures of the stuff, so he didn't get full credit because he was supposed to have one of these as writing, but you can also see that his font size was not very large, so he did have a good bit of writing, right? Guys, please don't put in here like size 20 font. It's 12, 14 at the max. I'm going to say 12 probably, but you can see he has title of his journal or his title of the publication he's writing for, title of the article, and his images. Okay. Another one. Wired People would be the name of the article, Man Trying to Take Over the World. And then you can see this person did theirs by hand. So if you're writing by hand, guys, just again, don't write letters that are, this big. They also drew their own picture, which I thought was quite nice. I don't know if you guys know, but I always say I'm trying to take over the world. So this is a story that was based on a real event. Me saying repeatedly, I want to take over the world, and also wearing pink on Wednesday. The idea of this article was that I was trying to brainwash students by making them wear pink and then eventually converting them into soldiers to help me take over the world. This one came after a water pipe burst in the school, and we had a water fountain that was leaking and made a big mess. So this person basically wrote a story about how the water was actually poisoned. So again, based on a true event, the water fountain was broken, but he pointed out that it was broken because I believe he said, and I have to go back and read it, that basically the pipes were eroded based on the poison that was in the water. What's really in school food? So again, something that's based on reality, school lunches and school food. He put in a picture. I believe this is from SpongeBob. I think it's from SpongeBob. And then he changed the details. Again, guys, you can see he wrote by hand, which is perfectly fine. So if you have access to a printer and you want to print that template out, you can, and then write by hand. Notice again, there's a lot of writing here. There's a lot of information. He didn't write in super huge letters. Okay. There's some more examples here as well. If you go back, there's a couple more. You can click on any or all of these links. This one's one of my favorite ones, actually. This one was done, and it was about how I was teaching anarchy. So you can see that there is no journal title up here. So this person lost points because they didn't have a journal title. Not a lot, but a couple. The title of the article is Pruitt Teaches Anarchy. He caught me on a Friday towards the end of the year, so we had jeans on. I wore my Crash Course t-shirt, and I had my hat on before school. And so the idea of his article was that I was telling students not to follow the rules, that I was clearly violating the dress code, and that I taught them actual history, not book history. So you have plenty of examples to look at. You have those video clips that I just showed you guys that you can look at as well, so you can find out what yellow journalism is and some modern examples of it. We'll obviously talk about it in class, but this video is, again, just to help you in case you're working independently later, you couldn't make it to class for some reason, whatever the case may be. But you can finish your yellow journalism article today. That will be our assignment. It's another task work activity done and dusted, and we'll be moving on from that at the end of the week. But that'll be it for this video, guys. We love you all. Take care. We'll see you guys in class today.